Daniel Adeyemi, you are hereby sentenced.
Because he had done nothing.
I didn't
He stood
do
there
this.
waiting, not for mercy, just for someone to say they had made a mistake. The judge spoke. Daniel Adeyemi, you are hereby found guilty. And in that moment, Daniel realized something terrifying. The truth was not being tested. He was. They led him away. Not like a man who had been proven guilty, but like someone the world had already decided to forget. His mother reached for him, calling his name, Daniel. But justice does not wait for love. He turned back and said softly,
Mommy, I didn't do it.
I didn't do it. And still, they took him. Prison did not begin when the doors closed. It began when they stopped calling his name. Inside the intake room, an officer asked, Name?
Name?
Daniel answered,
Daniel
Daniel
Adeyemi.
Adeyemi.
Not anymore.
The officer replied without looking up, Not anymore. That was the moment they did not just take his freedom, they took his identity. Daniel did not count years. He counted hope. Sitting on his bunk during a prison
We
visit,
filed the appeal.
his lawyer told him,
So,
We filed the appeal.
when will they see the truth?
Daniel looked up and asked, So, when will they see the truth? The lawyer paused before replying. It may take time. Each appeal became a promise. Each rejection became a silence. Still, he waited. Because accepting the time would mean accepting the lie. Outside, life did what life always does. It moved on. The woman who once promised to wait stood beside someone else. And in his mother's small shop, she held his photograph and whispered, They will see the truth. Back inside prison, Daniel sat waiting during visiting hours. No one came. A guard approached and said,
Your visitor didn't come today.
Your visitor didn't come today. Daniel nodded. He did not ask why. No one announces when they begin living without you. It just happens. Softly. Daniel believed the truth would come. He just didn't know that by the time it did, the life he was waiting to return to would already be gone. By the time the truth was found, his mother was already dead. Daniel knew his mother was dying, and he wasn't allowed to see her. When the news came, it sounded quiet, like something that still had time.
Daniel,
his lawyer sat across from him and said, Your mother is not well.
How bad?
Daniel leaned forward. How bad? There was no answer, only silence.
I want
so
to
he
see
asked
her.
for something simple. Permission
Just
to see
once.
her. Just
Please.
once. Just to hold her hand. Just to tell her he was still fighting. But the system that took his
Request denied.
freedom refused him that moment. The request was denied, and there was nothing he could do. So Daniel waited, knowing she was out there growing weaker. And in the quiet of the nights that followed, he remembered her. Her voice calling his name when he was a boy. Her hands fixing his clothes before school. The way she smiled when he came home. He saw her not as she was now, but as she had always been. Strong, certain, unshaken. And for the first time in years, Daniel cried, not for himself, but for the moments he might never live again. Still, he believed there would be time. He believed she would live long enough to see the truth arrive. He imagined walking back into her presence one day. Not as a prisoner, but as the son she had defended for years. He thought the truth would come before the end. He thought he would still see her smile again.
The DNA is conclusive. Run it again.
The truth did
Confirm
not
the match.
arrive with noise.
The profiles align
It arrived
perfectly.
quietly.
Get the suspect
In a
ready
room
for
no
questioning.
one would remember. A file opened, a silence broken, and investigators said, This is not the first time. In another building, a technician looked at the results and whispered, The DNA matches. And somewhere far away, Barrister Sadiq Bello received a call. We found him. 15 years late, back in prison, he sat across from Daniel and said his name softly. Daniel. Daniel looked up, and the words came. They made a mistake. For a moment, Daniel waited to feel something, relief, anger, justice, but nothing came. Because some truths arrive after the damage is complete. Freedom came quietly.
You are free to go.
A prison officer handed him a paper and said,
That's
You are
all?
free to go. Daniel looked at it for a long time, then asked, "That's all?" Because 15 years had been taken, birthdays he never attended, conversations he never had, a mother he never got to comfort. And now they were being returned, like something misplaced. Outside the gates, the world had not paused. Cars passed, people laughed, life continued. Daniel stood there holding everything he owned in a small bag and asked the question no one should ever have to ask.
Where do I
go now? Because he had waited to return to his life, and his life had already learned to live without him. Later, in a quiet cemetery, he stood before the one person who had never stopped believing.
Mommy,
He knelt,
I'm home.
touched the stone, and said, "Mommy, I'm home." But she had died still waiting for him to walk through the door. She had died believing the truth would come in time. She had died without knowing she was right. And in that moment, Daniel understood something prison never taught him. The truth had come, but it had come too late to give anything back. In the end, he sat in a city that no longer remembered his name, watching children laugh, watching strangers rush past, watching life continue without apology. Justice had finally arrived, but it arrived to a man who had nothing left to return to.